Division of assets in a high net worth divorce in Texas is handled the same way you handle any other low net worth divorce in the state of Texas. It's just that it can get a little bit more complicated because you have more stuff, but the same laws apply. We are a community property based state where you can sometimes prove they're separate property. Now, the issues would typically come up in terms of valuation and tracing. So, valuation is the process by which you determine what something is worth or valued at. So, if you own properties, this may happen by real estate appraisals. If you own businesses, it may require business valuation. So, it gets more complicated with the more complicated things you have. Or you may have to do tracing, like if these high net worth individuals brought a lot of assets into the marriage, you may have to hire experts to figure out which of the assets are separate and which of them are community. But in general, the same laws apply no matter how much money you have in Texas. Businesses are divided in a high net worth divorce pretty much the same way any other asset is, in terms of it has to be named, valued, and distributed. So, like, you identify the business, you have to come up with some sort of a value for it, and then you have to decide who gets it. Now, the way that plays out in real life can be complicated, especially if it's a community property business where both of the parties work in the business and both want the business. Because it's not real typical that a court's going to say, okay, this painting business that you both started, that you both work in, one of you does the painting, one of you does all the back office books and personnel management. They're not usually going to award that to be ran by both of y'all after the marriage. So it gets complicated to divide a business in Texas because of valuation and because of the practical way the business will be run after the divorce. You're absolutely going to need to talk to a Texas divorce lawyer in your city, like where we are in Austin, Texas, to decide how the law might play out in your particular situation when dividing a business in your high net worth divorce. In high net worth divorces, forensic accountants become a central part of your case. Their job is to follow the money. Honey is how I think of it. They are an expert who's steeped in business and tax and money, and they help figure out where the money went. They may figure out what's really going on in this business. Like if one of the parties claims that the other party is hiding money, you would likely need a forensic accountant to look at, okay, if you think they're hiding it in the business, let me look at all the books, let me look at all the bank statements and figure out what's going on to see if money is being hidden in this divorce. So likely in your high net worth divorce, dealing with businesses or perhaps a lot of separate property, you'll retain, or your lawyer will retain, a forensic accountant to help as an expert on your legal team to get you the best possible outcome for your family in your Texas divorce case. If you're getting divorced in Texas and you're a high net worth individual, then likely real estate may become a central component of your case, be it residential, like where you live or your second home, or your investment properties like condos or that place at the beach or your cabin in the mountains. All of that stuff still has to get divided. And the same basic process that applies to any asset division in your Texas divorce case would apply to these. You have to name it. What's the thing? Identify it. Then it has to be valued. How much is this thing worth? And then it has to be awarded. Who's going to get possession of the thing? Now, where it gets complicated is in step 2, often, the valuation. How much do you value a rental property that spun off X number of dollars in income over the past few years? That's going to be on the scope of what you're able to testify about, most likely, or that your lawyer can prove, unless they bring on an expert like a forensic accountant or a real estate expert to help prove the amount of the valuation, so that then they can be divided. And a court may say one party gets the asset, like you get it, they get it, or if it can't be agreed or doesn't make sense, the court can even order that that asset be sold. And then the amount of money that comes from it be divided in accordance with your asset division for your Texas divorce.